and nothing. Just it would not open. And it's a Liberty gun safe, 64 gun safe, big old boy. Spent a lot of money on it. Drove a couple hours each way to get it. So we get this thing in here. It won't fucking open. I was not a happy camper. Luckily, we ended up calling Liberty, and the guy that we talked to, it didn't sound like he had a clue what was going on exactly. But he told us basically this was the plan. Just shake it really hard.
Yeah, pretty much.
We're like,
just throw this 700-pound safe around a little bit.
Yeah. Like, are you freaking kidding me? But actually, we did. We ended up rocking it back and forth each way a little bit. And after about, I don't know, it was about 15 minutes or so, we got the thing and it opened. So now it's where it needs to go, right here. It's bolted down. Lights are installed. So at least that part of this month has turned out good. So I'm happy with that at least.
Oh, and you got your 3D printer too that you're ecstatic about. Surprised you haven't brought that up yet.
I did. I got a new 3D printer. This thing is badass. Okay, so this doesn't look like such a much, but this is it's a wall attachment system. You can mount it on your wall and build it as big as you want, and then you pop stuff in and out of it. But anyway, on my old 3D printer, this thing took about between 10 and 11 hours to print. Guess how fast it prints on my new printer?
It took how long before?
Between 10 and 11 hours.
20 minutes.
Fuck, it's not that good. It took 2.5 to print this. And that's not, it can go faster. This is just kind of the middle of the road, speed, but I'm pretty freaking impressed by it. It's badass, man. It just, you get to watching it and it's super entertaining to watch. It's just hauling ass. It's pretty crazy. Technology is getting absolutely nuts. So I should be able to print a gun frame in, I don't know, I would say 4 or 5 hours probably. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Thought about having you print me something, but I haven't found a plan for one I like yet.
This one's pretty badass. This is my it's kind of modeled after the Strike Industries frame. And I love the way this one feels. So I'm pretty stoked about it. Pretty neat.
Oh, I mean, not a gun. It's like a little $15 piece that I just don't want to order because it also costs $15 to ship it, and I'm not about to do that until I have to order something else.
Fair enough.
So you sent me something earlier today. You're like, and this is pretty fucking sweet. And it's
yep.
I think it was from Tactical Shit. I think it was.
Yep.
This bang can is what it is.
Yeah.
Just pretty much an aluminum tube with a firing pin in it that you can throw blanks in. I think I forget which ones it accepts. 9mm end shot or 12 gauge blanks it accepts. There's one smaller one too that I forget, but nobody cares about that one. That one's not near as cool. But that's pretty neat. You pull that pin out of there, you toss it on the ground, and apparently it has enough force to set it off.
Yeah, well, I'm not entirely sure how it works. If it's just like if it's a trigger in there, or if you got to land on the right place and so it blasts it up and hits the primer and then it goes off. Or I'd assume it's a trigger, like you pull it back, a striker of some sort, but I'm not exactly positive. But
I did read there was a firing pin in it.
Okay. But it also is $200, but it's a completely reusable. And I watched a video where they did it, and it did seem pretty freaking loud. It actually stained the concrete where it went off. So I don't know how, like, I don't know if it's loud enough to be useful or what, but I guess a 12 gauge shell, 12 gauge blank would have to be pretty freaking loud. So I think
I read that it's up to like 160 decibels.
It would definitely scare the shit out of you. And what's the word? Disorient you. If somebody tossed that in the door and rushes in, I suppose, which is what it's, essentially used for. What do you think about it? You think it's stupid?
No, I think it's kind of neat, but I don't think I would actually seriously use it as a real flashbang. I think it's more intended as either something fun and cool and as a training tool rather than using real flashbangs. That would be a whole lot cheaper than that.
Well, it depends on how many you're going to end up using. Absolutely. I've been looking around for flashbangs for quite a while, and the best options seem to be like just airsoft flashbangs. And there's some that are like tag in or something. They're from out of Russia, but I can never freaking find them in stock, which is kind of irritating.
I
So,
mentioned something to you earlier, or right before we started the show, that I was going to break some news to you about this that you were going to think is cool. You said $200 is too much. Well, there's another company called Hamax Tactical. I don't know if they've been making them longer than tactical shit. I know they've been around for at least a little bit over a year. They make two versions. They make a V1 and a V2. The V2 accepts 2-inch shotgun shells. It's $99 and it's serialized, so only FFLs can get it.
so it's essential that they treat it as a firearm, essentially, or a destructive device, I wonder.
I don't know. In the description, it just says it's a serialized component and is only available to FFL, law enforcement, and military active or retired personnel with credentials.
Put the comment or put a link in the comments. I'll buy that bitch. Hell yeah.
Oh, it says you also must attend and successfully complete the operator training course.
For a flashbang?
Yeah.
Well, son of a bitch. Well, I have a 3D printer.
It's an add-on, so it'd be like $300. Okay. So this is just a base that extends the main component of it. So you're going to end up spending like $320 on to take 2-inch shells.
Shoot. But $100 for what? You can get $100 and that works for with what exactly? Like blanks?
No, it doesn't work with anything. This is just the base. So you have to buy the two pieces for the.
Oh.
I mean, you can get the $200 some one, which that works with the regular 12 gauge smaller shells. But if you want to use the 2-inch shells, then you got to get this V2 base.
Well, it must be time to design a 3D printed flashbang that would shoot like 12 gauge blanks. Just, you could print one for 30 cents, 50 cents, whatever it'd be, and it'd just be a single use deal because it'd probably get blown to shit. But there we go. Yeah. Miles, if you're listening, if you're listening, let's design that bitch. Hell yeah.
I bet it probably wouldn't be that loud actually. The 3D printed one, because there wouldn't be any pressure.
It wouldn't be very loud.
Yeah, it'd just be like, I mean, it'd still be sort of loud, but it wouldn't be near as loud as if it's contained. Just like if you set off a round and it's not in a barrel, there's no power or anything there because there's no pressure built up behind it.
You could design it in such a way where a tube, or you could cut off a sleeve of tubing and slide that in there. That would be what contains it. So it'd be a 2-piece system that your print would go around it or whatever. I think there's something there. I would not be surprised if somebody had already designed something. I'll do some looking around.
It can't be that difficult to make something.
Miles says, you got it, bud. Nick says, I got a lathe. There you go. It's got to be a simple design, I bet. Either way, I'm intrigued. Nick. Yeah, hell yeah. I'm intrigued.
Okay, moving on. That was just not even actually a topic. Anyways, moving on. We talked last week about Oregon's Measure 114. Was that last week or was that the episode before? Anyways, doesn't matter.
One of the two.
But yesterday was a big day for 114. Earlier in the morning, there was a federal judge, Karen Immergut. I don't know how to say her name. Immergut. She denied a motion for a preliminary injunction, saying the plaintiffs failed to make the case on limiting large capacity mags. The plaintiff's motions claimed that Measure 114 wouldn't counteract violent crime and gun deaths and would violate the Second, Fifth, and 14th Amendments. But she did issue a stay on the firearm permitting process for 30 days. So that was all the news for the first half of the day. And then later in the afternoon, halfway through the afternoon, a county judge, a state judge, granted a temporary restraining order against the measure completely, just hours after that. So State Attorney General Ellen Rosenblum said the state will petition the Oregon Supreme Court seeking to align the result in our state courts with the federal court's well-reasoned and thoughtful decision. So Circuit Court Judge Robert Raccio in Harney County, he ruled in favor of the restraining order on the grounds that 114 would infringe on the right to bear arms, saying they would be unable to lawfully purchase a firearm or bear a magazine capable of holding more than 10 rounds. This measure, I think it was set to go into effect tomorrow as well. Mm-hmm. So they really were cutting it right down to the wire. I don't remember if I think one of these was actually a GOA case, but I don't remember which one. I think just the mag ban or the stay on the mag ban or the stay on the permitting process. I mean,
right. As far as the state didn't prove that it was unconstitutional, essentially, which is nonsense, because if you go and look back at the Bruin decision, there's absolutely no historical what am I saying? What am I trying to say here? Historical time in the U.S. when mag bans, like banning how many rounds you can have in a gun, was occurred. That didn't happen, and that's what Bruin says. You have to look at the law and say, hey, does this have historical significance? Has this been done before since, the Second Amendment was written? And it absolutely does not. That's absurd. So if you look at Bruin, that's a Bruin decision, according to this law, the entire law is unconstitutional, because there's been no time when in the US when mag bans were a thing. And also, this is the absolute absurdity of it. You have to pay the government to every 5 years to exercise your right and go through training classes. Show me one time in the US when that was a historical thing. It's not been done, and they certainly didn't write this. They certainly did not write the Second Amendment. There's so many times when people say, well, this is not what the founders meant when they wrote the Second Amendment. Okay, you honestly think that the founding fathers just finished fighting a war against a tyrannical government, and they thought that it would be okay for you to have to pay your government to exercise your Second Amendment rights and get trained every 5 years by them? Absolutely not. That's freaking absurd. So on its face, what was her name? Intergut. I'd like to punch her intergut, because she's absolutely 100% wrong about this. But I have complete faith that this will get struck down ultimately.
You should be ashamed of that.
Why?
That was terrible. I'd like to punch her intergut. God damn it.
What's her name? You know I was going to say something about that.
I figured, yeah. Funny story. She was actually appointed by Bush. She was nominated by Trump for another federal position for the position she's in, I believe.
Okay.
So she's a Republican.
Okay.
And she was already she didn't really sound like she's a typical rhino, apparently, because she was talking about no mass shootings have ever been committed with mags less than 10 rounds or whatever.
False. Virginia Tech, one of the worst mass shootings in the history of, actually it was like 15 rounds, I think, and 10, 15 rounds and under. And actually, didn't the Parkland shooter have I'm not sure if he had large capacity magazines, but or either. But that's
Oh no,
absolutely 100% false on its face.
I misquoted. I have it here now. Uh, Shootings increased greatly after the assault weapons ban expired in 04, and every mass shooting involving 14 or more deaths involved a weapon with 10 or more bullets. So where do you come up with this 14 number? You just
That's the magic number.
apparently 13 dead people is okay, but 14 is not. That's where I draw the line.
Yeah, there. Well, it's the absurdity is how many were killed in Uvalde?
I don't know.
I can't. It was like 20. I think it was 19 or 20. But that wouldn't have mattered either way. He could have had a freaking pump action shotgun, and the same thing would have happened there. I mean, it doesn't. It wouldn't have made any difference whatsoever. But either way, we live in America. Just because some psychopath committed a crime, that is on them. That has absolutely nothing to do with me or my ability to defend my family. I am not the one that committed the crime. I do not have to pay for that crime. Welcome to America, folks. This is how it works. Get used to it. Unfortunately, most people can't see it that way.
Sure don't. Anything else to say about that?
I mean, I could go on.
Well, I personally don't really want to listen to you rant all night long.
But at this point, there's been an injunction against it, so it is not going into effect currently.
That is correct.
Okay, well, excellent. That is good news, and I hope for Oregon's sake that it is completely struck down. We will see, though.
That's how I'm understanding it anyway. It is, as of now, not moving forward at all in its entirety.
Mike Shire says, I don't pay for other speeding tickets. Exactly. Also, Adam Balzer, he's talking about Virginia Tech, which I mentioned was a P-22 pistol. Absolutely. I can't remember how many victims were killed in that, but it was a lot. It was up until Sandy Hook. That was the most, the deadliest school shooting in the U.S., and it was committed with pistols, not assault weapons. So it just goes to show you that this shit happens.
40. 42. Is that where Mike Shire got the magic number from? Or is that too many?
What 40?
42 people killed at Virginia Tech.
No, it wasn't near that high. It was like, I mean, we can find out here shortly. How many were people in the Virginia Tech shooting? That number is Virginia Tech shooting leaves 32 people dead. Wow, I didn't remember it was that bad. Yeah,
I knew it was a lot.
And he used pistols. So that just goes to show. He was his name, it doesn't matter his name, fuck him. He was a Korean immigrant. But he killed 32 and wounded 17 with 2 semi-automatic pistols. So yeah, that just goes to show you an assault weapons ban. Guess what it's going to do? Jack shit. That stuff is still going to happen. And then they're going to keep going after more guns and more guns and more guns until the only thing you can own is absolutely nothing.
Now that I think about it, that's one of the shootings that never gets brought up when they're trying to make a point anymore. Like, even though it's one of the highest amount of death or largest casualties or most casualties, they don't bring it up. Well, I bet they will, since they're starting to move over to all semi-automatics rather than just assault weapons now. But
well, and why don't they bring it up, Box? Because it doesn't fit their agenda. It proves that they're lying to us about assault weapons. Of course, they're not going to bring it up. Makes sense, but you're right. They probably will start bringing it up after they ban everything else. They'll be like, "Oh, look at this still happened, even though you know." But whatever. God, I forgot that was back before 32 people. Good lord, I forgot about this. This is back in '07. Um,
That was that long ago?
yeah, that was a few years before I was real big into gun rights. So I didn't get into that until 2011, 2012, right before Sandy Hook happened. That's pretty
Hmm.
wild.
Wow, I could have swore it was like 2013, 2014, somewhere in there.
Nope.
Okay, moving on. More dumb shit. Chris Murphy had a interview on CNN last week, I believe, talking about red flag laws and sheriffs and counties in the nation refusing to enforce these laws. And he was arguing that they were circumventing state and federal laws, as if those state and federal laws aren't circumventing the Constitution. I found that a little bit ironic.
Right. Right.
But there's a quote here from him. The majority of counties in this country declare they're not going to enforce state and federal gun laws. They have decided that they are going to essentially refuse to implement the laws that are on the books. That is a growing problem in this country. I think we're going to have a conversation about that in the Senate. Do we want to continue to supply fundamental law enforcement in counties that refuse to implement state and federal gun laws? So he's proposing here that we defund the counties, the police departments in the counties that refuse to enforce unconstitutional laws. At the beginning of this quote, I found something kind of interesting where he says the majority of counties. Okay, so the majority don't want these laws, so you're just going to try and force them on the people? I mean, at the same time, you're going to turn around and talk about how the Republicans are killing the democracy, but you're just like, well, the majority wants this or doesn't want this, but we're going to make them do it anyways.
Yeah, that's pretty hypocritical.
I found that kind of humorous. He's obviously dumb as shit. He's always been a hardcore anti-gunner, but
oh yeah, he's always at the middle, pushing the bans and anything anti-gun.
Yeah, but I didn't really like the defunding police departments that aren't enforcing these unconstitutional laws. How is that even like a thought or a possibility?
It seems completely contrary. It's basically just a scare tactic because what are you going to do? You're going to stop giving. First off, how would that even work? Like federal money would stop going to them because I'm pretty sure most like sheriff's departments or stuff are funded by the state. I would assume. I'm sure they get some federal money subsidized for certain things. But frankly, I would think that's a good thing. Say a sheriff's department stops getting money from the federal government and gets it completely from the state and the counties that they represent. They would be more beholden to the citizens of that county to do, the right thing for them, for those citizens. So overall, like, fuck it, bring it on, dude. That seems fine to me. But the other question I have for him is, there's been sanctuary cities for years. Like, where are you that's bitching about this? Completely blatantly ignoring the Constitution, and the laws of this nation to push their own agenda. You have not said anything about that, let alone the fact that there are so many of these Democrat cities that don't enforce the laws on the books already as far as gun laws. You already go to these cities and look at the the percentage of murderers that are let out on bail and get plea deals and are back out the next day committing violent acts again. it's so hypocritical for you to bring that up. It just it baffles me, to be honest with you. I mean, yeah, he's completely hypocritical, 100% hypocritical.
Wonder what he had to say about the whole Martha's Vineyard thing. Whatever happened with that, anyways? That just kind of disappeared.
Yeah, that died real quick. As far as I know, Texas is still sending buses to wherever, and they're still bitching and crying about it. It's like, and that's the thing, they always cry about it, like, stop sending us these buses. And you're like, well, you guys are the one that are insisting on the laws, are insisting on opening the border, and you just want Texas to take all those in and deal with it. Like, no, like if you're the one insisting it, you better be willing to take just as many as they are. But they never are.
There's a part of me, though, about this defending police departments that I kind of like. I mean, it kind of seems like it'd be moving in the direction of the United States or the states balkanizing. They're like the nation or the national government realizes, oh, well, they're not going to follow all our laws, so we're just going to cut them off. Fine by me. Then we can set our own laws. I mean, as long as it's just us not getting your funding, okay, that's cool.
Right. Yeah. Sure. I mean, you guys are on to defund the police anyways. Yeah. When you say balkanization, I've heard of that word before, but what exactly does it mean? I think I know what it means, but
don't ask me to define it, man.
Is that Balkan? That has to do with like the Soviet Union and all those countries that kind of evolved out of the Soviet Union, kind of made their own way, essentially.
Yes, kind of. It'd be pretty much just the states splitting up into their own little areas.
I'm good with that. Yeah, hell yeah. Let's do that. Of course, we'd be stuck with like Minnesota and Illinois, and maybe they can stick together with themselves. We'll go with Nebraska and Missouri.
I don't know. I don't want Nebraska.
Nebraska's not that bad.
Mike finds the balkanization of Kingsley pretty humorous.
Hell yeah. Nick says the definition is divide a region or body into smaller, mutually hostile states or groups. Okay.
I like how they had to throw hostile in there. I bet that hasn't been in there until the last 5 years.
I don't know. Do the all those little countries over there hate each other, or are they, chummy? I don't think they love each other too much, but I don't know for sure. But anyways, back to his old Senator Murphy. I don't think that's going to go the way that he thinks it's going to go.
I don't think it's probably going to go anywhere further than that shitty CNN interview.
No. He's consistently been on the wrong side of pretty much every argument that I ever see him partake in. So, yeah, I'm just thankful. I'm just very thankful that we're living in Iowa, a state that's really went hardcore freedom in the last 10 years. Stokes says, we'll give them Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Illinois, but we want the stat going down south from North Dakota to the Gulf. I can agree with those terms, Stokes. Absolutely. Shit, Box. It just happened again. You're talking like a chipmunk again. Can you unplug your mic and plug it back in? We're having some issues here again, hopefully, folks. This happened at the beginning of the podcast too. So
how about now?
Okay. Hey, praise
that's
Jesus.
What's happening. I'm taking my shoes off. So what happened at the beginning of the show, folks, I think, I'm walking around in my shoes in my house and I get electricity. And right before the show started, it touched my mic and it shocked it and fucked it all up. And I think that's what just happened here. So I guess I'm going to stop wearing my shoes.
That's weird. I've never.
That
You
is
wouldn't
pretty
think,
odd.
but thankfully that you can just unplug it and plug it back in. Did you try unplugging it and plugging it back in, sir?
Sure did.
That's what I asked when or that's what they asked me when I called Liberty Gun Safe yesterday. Did you try unplugging it? It's a gun safe, sir.
Well, did you try kicking it? That was pretty much what they moved to.
Yes, I in fact did try kicking it. Absolutely.
Yep. Sam was pretty enraged at that, so I felt I was kind of obligated to hang around and maybe help him before he snapped and just started going to town on it with a sledgehammer.
Hey, I maintained myself pretty well, I thought. I didn't even yell at the guy. He told me to I was close. I mean, I called him and I called Liberty Safe and they told me to contact Tractor Supply and I told them no. That's not going to work for me, folks. Stokes Acts, any luck getting behind the panel? Honestly, I haven't looked. It's working fine. Everything is. So I haven't had time. I'm just tickled pink that it's working now. So when I have some time, I'll take that panel off and lube it up.
By when he has time, he means next time it stops opening again. Yes.
Well, actually, that's a good point because if it stops opening, the fucker's bolted down now. There ain't no way to shake it. So maybe I should I should probably look into that.
Did you bolt it down?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know you dropped
that. Pete dropped off his hammer drill and I bolted that sumbitch right to the ground. So she ain't going nowhere. There ain't no way, pretty much ain't nobody doing nothing with that thing.
Fucking amazing. Okay. On to the next topic. I believe we talked about this about last year around this time. They're trying to sneak in some gun control in the NDAA, the military defense budget.
Of course.
I think they were trying to sneak in the red flag law last year. This year, I've been seeing a lot the last couple days, just yesterday and today, I think. People up in arms about what they're trying to sneak in this time, which honestly, I'm not entirely sure what to think about this one. What they've done this time is sneak in a safe storage pilot program, which is a plan aimed at preventing military suicides by offering gun safes, locks, or other safety devices to troops to store their personal firearms. It would be a 6-year pilot program to furnish secure gun storage for the purpose of securing personally owned firearms when not in use to service members who volunteer to participate. It would be available at 5 military installations that would be chosen by the Pentagon. And when it's completed within 6 years, the department would have to give Congress a report on whether it helped reduce suicides. There's a quote here. The experts are saying to us, if we have the simple process by which voluntarily service members can request a gun safe or a firearm lock and have it paid for, that will save lives because ideations can come and go so quickly.
Because what can come and go?
Ideations.
Meaning?
Like, have a thought, an idea to do something, as in, I think I'm going to kill myself. I'm going to go kill myself, which I thought was kind of weird because if you have the thought that you're going to go kill yourself, I don't think it's going to leave you in the 10 seconds it takes you to open a gun safe. That's one thing I'm really confused about. They say this is aimed at preventing military suicides. They're just giving them a box to put a firearm in. How is that going to prevent anything? I really do not understand this.
Yeah. I
I mean,
can't
how
say
is it
that.
different from putting the gun like on the farther end of your house? It just takes you a few extra seconds to walk there.
Yeah. I don't understand their logic behind. I can't say that I'm really like against it because I honestly don't see anything, horrible about it. Um, but you're right. It's not gonna distract anybody. Like I can be in my gun safe in 10 seconds, 5 seconds, and have access to, whatever. So I don't understand how this is gonna prevent anything. Um, not yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of baffled at their thinking here.
Josh says the safe is probably the armory on base. It's That's not what I'm seeing. I don't think that is a requirement on all military bases. From what I found, the Pentagon in like 2016, they made it so the base commander or whatever can allow them to have personal firearms in their own home. So I don't think
Okay.
that is the case here. If you want, Josh, I will post the full bill so you can read all 4,408 pages of it.
Make it as huge as humanly possible so nobody can
No
read the whole
sh-
thing before they vote on it.
no shit. I'll post that in the Facebook comments. That this section of it is section 595. That's on page 517. It's just like 3 pages long, 4 pages long. Not very long at all to read through, and it does not sound like keeping that in an armory is the case. But Gun Owners of America, they were screaming about this today and saying what they're going to do with this. First, they're going to make it voluntary. What this is essentially is a study on if it of gun safes and security devices slow down suicide. So Guns of America is saying what they're going to do is they're going to make this study voluntary. They're going to manipulate the statistics at the end of it in 6 years. They're going to say, look at how effective this was. And then they're going to make safe storage mandatory nationwide. They're going to make it so the government can come into your house and check on all this shit, see your guns, make sure they can check off everything that you have and say, this is okay. So that's what Gun Owners of America's concern is.
That would make sense. And I'm sure there's somebody out there to be like, well, how can they manipulate the results? Well, if you look at the FBI statistics on armed citizens stopping mass shootings, which we just talked about a couple of years and beers ago, they significantly underreported that. They definitely tweaked the statistics on that. So it's not like it can't be done. Absolutely. But I mean, that makes sense. Like you can see, I could see why they would want to do that. Absolutely. Because, and frankly, to be honest with you, it might prevent like one out of, 100 people from committing suicide, maybe. But even if there is a small uptick of, people say it helping people, they're going to use it to their advantage. And absolutely, they're going to use it to. The other issue with it is just more government spending. Well, as Mike says, oh, absolutely. I don't enjoy it because of that either. Uh, yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure where I sit on this, to be honest with you.
Yeah, my gut reaction reading the stuff from like GOA and a few other places was okay, you guys are that's a little bit extreme. It sounds a little nutty to me, but I mean that's how we sound to normal everyday people, but thinking about it, totally fucking plausible. And who are we to say that that's not what their plan is?
Yeah, absolutely. absolutely. And frankly, I don't know if that's necessarily their plan. I think obviously somebody has thought that at least. Um, but it's a certainly logical. If you look at the way that the left operates, it is absolutely logical to expect them to do that. 100%. Uh, so is it worth? I don't know. That's the problem though. Like you said, it sounds extreme. So when we argue that, everybody's just like, "Well, you just sound like a bunch of lunatics." And then 6 years down the road, when it comes to fruition and it actually happens, just like so many of the things that we said, like there's so many conspiracy theories that have came true in the last 5 years, 6 years, whatever. And you're like, see, that's what I was saying 5 years ago, and you call me a freaking lunatic. It came to happen, and now what are you? It's just like, so absolutely, I could see this 100% being a thing.
Well, thinking about it, if they didn't have some kind of end game here, what would be the point of this study? Finding out if owning a gun safe made you less likely to kill yourself. What would the point of that study be if they didn't have a plan? To me, thinking
Right.
about it now, kind of makes sense. Obviously, they're not going to buy everyone, all of us, gun safes. That's not going to happen. What they probably do is force us all to
Yeah.
buy several $1,000 gun safes.
Yeah, well, I'll look at that. I can't remember what state or what city it is in California. They required gun safe storage, excuse me, not that. They required insurance for all gun owners. So you got to pay like a lot of money to get liability insurance. Nick says, I know it's a crazy thought, but can we do what some places in Europe have done with legalizing assisted suicide for those that are thinking about it? I don't. No, I don't. I There's too many morality issues with that. I don't think anybody. I don't think enough people would be on board. Um, no, I wouldn't.
I'm not sure what that. I don't think that would do much good, anyways. For in this case,
No, no. But yeah, if you talk to that point, you're talking about assisted suicide. Well, if you're hurting and you decide you don't want to do it, or you want to do it and then you end your life, well, that sucks. That's permanent. That's a permanent freaking solution. And then you look at so many people that you talk to that have been there before, that had thought about it and even attempted it. And then they've got through their shit that they were going through and they were on the other side of it. And you're like, holy shit, I am so glad that I did not do that. So I think the better solution to this, let's not spend the money on gun safes. Let's spend the money on helping these people. Let's spend the money on mental health care. That's been one thing that has been thrown under the rug in the gun violence debate for years and years and years. Is let's not talk about the fucking mental issues side of this. Let's just ignore that. When these same guns that have been happening, that are used in mass shootings, have been around for 100 years, 60 years. They were never, this mass shootings was never an issue up until the last few years. To me, you just banning them and you're completely ignoring the reasons why it's happening is fucking insane. Like I said, these things have been around for years. Let's figure out why it's happening. Let's increase mental health funding. Let's help these people out and figure out why this keeps happening, rather than just ban the fucking stick that they're hitting someone with. That's a moronic solution. And frankly, it's not going to help. It's not going to stop these people from killing themselves. If they want to kill themselves, they're going to kill themselves. Mental health is what they need. Mental health help.
interesting thing I was thinking about as well is red flag things, is that a thing in the military?
Not that I'm aware of. No. Um, no, not that I'm aware of.
I was seeing something talking about this, I believe. Yeah, it was a GOA video. And in the comments, they were talking about these military suicides, that having a red flag law would only make them less likely to want to go talk to someone about their issues. Because if they
100%.
do, then they're afraid that, okay, I went and told someone I'm having some trouble right now, and that person goes to someone and says he's having some trouble right now, and they're like, okay, we're gonna take away your ability to defend yourself and your family.
Yeah, absolutely. 110%. That absolutely happens. And folks like, folks like me, I got a business, I got an FFL, I need my shit, and I say I'm going through a tough time and I need to go to talk to somebody. There should be absolutely no issues with me doing that, but I have to worry about that bullshit, and when they run your background checks on an FFL, they dig deep, and the lady that was the last time I got a new FFL, I went from an '01 to an '07. She called me up and asked me about a particular instance on my record that was not there, that had been erased, that never happened legally according to, the courts. They found it. So they know. It's like there ain't no way in hell that I'm giving them any other chances, for, to second guess me. And absolutely, I agree with you. It's a bad situation.
Nick says the places I was referring to do not just help someone that wants to hurt themselves. It's for chronically ill people, and it's a many month process with psychiatrist visits. Are you talking about assisted suicide yet?
Yeah,
Nick?
he is. Yep.
Must be.
Still, yeah, I understand what you're saying, but I don't know. It's a morality issue for me, and I don't know. That's a whole nother conversation in itself. I can see the point, but I just don't frankly agree with it. But yeah, so I don't know. As far as these, I see it doesn't sound like this is a bad thing, but when you open up the can of worms, there's so many. I don't know. Are you against this box? Are you just going to let it slide, you think?
I'm going to say yes, I'm against it because I don't see what the actual point of this study is unless they're going to mandate something at the end of it. Say it does, we'll just humor them and say it does a ton of good. Say it reduces suicides by half. Then what?
Right.
Then what are they going to do?
They're gonna use that statistic to their benefit.
They're 100% going to mandate safe storage.
Or try to mandate it, but yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
yeah. So
I would agree.
I don't see any other reason really that they would throw this in there, I guess, now that I think about it. I mean, it sounds all right on its face. I think it's probably going to end up going through. I think the vote is probably going to be tomorrow, this week at least yet. I think I saw Thursday.
I don't
Fun
think
fact about this, though. Fun fact about this, though. The NRA, quote, is satisfied with this amendment. So the NRA is still totally okay with it. But
does anybody give a shit what the NRA says at this point?
I don't. Politicians, they think that's the only the only lobby group out there. But this there's two, I don't know if you call them bills. They smashed two of them together, and they both passed in June and July earlier this year. But most Republicans opposed it, but 7 voted with Democrats in support of it. So, I don't know. I don't know if it's going to go or not.
I would bet it. I would bet it does. Republicans are spineless cowards, and that they, I they're more interested in appeasing the woke crowd than doing what is actually right. So I would bet that it passes.
I don't think we caught it in time to stop it. If it was something else, something bigger than this, I don't think 2 days is enough for the
Probably not.
grassroots movement to stop it.
Yeah, and frankly, this is not really like the hill to die on. I mean, this is not like that big of a deal. But yeah, I don't. I'm against it, but I don't see it. I see it passing. To be honest with you, I don't see there being enough resistance to it.
I'm kind of surprised they didn't throw in something bigger.
Right?
Well,
Yeah,
I
for
guess
sure.
they passed this only a few months after they passed the previous year's budget, so they were probably
Okay.
still hurting after that.
Yep. Well, what else we got, Box?
You wanted to talk about lever actions for
I do.
some weird fucking reason.
I had one in the shop a couple weeks ago that I did. It was just a cheap lever action, the Citadel. Shit, I can't remember the Levtac, Citadel Levtac something. I can't remember the numbers that went after it, but just a lever action. It was like a 44 Magnum, modernized, of course. And that's the thing lately is to modernize lever actions. And to be real honest with you, I've never wanted a lever action. I don't really dig them that much, but this whole modernized thing, with the M-Lock handguard and everything, which by the way, Mad Pig Customs, they're a Cerakote shop, but they've done a shitload with these modernized lever actions. And Steve Talischek is the owner of that. I've talked to him a few times. He's a good dude, but he's done some pretty cool shit with that. Just check those out if you guys dig that sort of thing. But anyways, I finally had one in the shop and I got to messing around with it, and I was really freaking digging it. I'm wanting one. I don't know what exactly I'm gonna do with it, but I freaking want one. I think I'm gonna SBR it, shove a suppressor on that sumbitch, and just have one hell of a cool little plinker. Do you have any desire to own one of those, Box?
Yes, I've always wanted like a little 30-30 lever action.
Really?
But that one that you shared in Slack, or you messaged me earlier today, hard fucking pass on that one, man.
Really?
Dude, is that one you wanted? I'll put up a picture here of it. That is, how can you like that?
I don't like this particular one. This is the Fight Light Industries Herring Model 224, which is coming. It says coming soon, but it's basically an AR upper on a lever action lower, and it is fugly as hell. There it is. Yeah,
God damn, yeah, it is.
See it up on the screen right now, but it is not an attractive looking gun. And that is not what I mean when I say like modernized lever action. That's just
thank God
freaking ugly. But this is, I find this a cool piece. And the benefit of something like this is, like, say you're going to do this, and I believe this is coming in 5.56 and 300 blackout, which 300 blackout would be the way to go on this, because when you suppress a rifle, especially, like a 300 blackout rifle, if it's in the AR platform, a semi-automatic, a lot of that noise you get is coming out of the chamber, when it's expelling the shell, and you're going to get a lot of noise right out of there. So if you're shooting like a lever action gun, those are always going to be, or a bolt action, those are always going to be way quieter, because all that energy is going out of the muzzle through the suppressor. So those can always be way quieter. So this would be a cool thing on this one, actually, because you could actually have like a suppressed 300 blackout. You still use an AR mag, and this particular thing does take AR magazines. So it would be kind of cool in that aspect. But also what's interesting about this is it takes, it uses the same, it uses magazines, bolts, and barrels. off the shelf AR-15 bolts and barrel extensions. So you can put like whatever caliber you want in this, and AR magazines. So that is the cool thing about this. You know, you can throw in like a whatever you suppress caliber you want, and you got yourself a pretty cool freaking plinker. Albeit it's going to look fugly as hell, but I definitely I find it neat. I find it a very kind of a cool thing, I guess. You're not on that same horse, though, are you? You just hate it.
Oh yeah, 100% hate that thing. Throw that thing in a fucking dumpster and burn it. Yes.
Yeah, I feel you.
I do like modernized lever actions, but like no more. Just paint them black and put a fucking rail on them, a free float rail. That's
right.
Pretty much all I want. I want a side load 30-30 lever action with a nice rail on it, and that's much I can do.
Yeah, I hear you. And like I said, I would not go this route because I just think it's ugly. But the nice thing about this is, you know, you have that detachable magazine. The thing that I don't like about traditional lever actions is you got to freaking just like jam them in there, like load them in the side. I've never really liked that. And went out to test fire that one the other day, and it's just awkward loading those shells like that. I don't particularly love it. I got a lever action right over here, actually. That's just a Henry lever action that I got to do some engraving on. But those don't really trip my trigger. I've never been a fan of those. I can't see me ever owning just like traditional like Henry or anything like that. I don't know why they just don't do it for me. Not a huge fan.
You like dumpster fires of a lever action. That's what you go for, huh?
I like
very peculiar taste.
Yes, I do. Yes, absolutely. I think everyone that listens to this podcast on a regular basis knows that I have a very peculiar taste at this point. Mike says it comes with age. I don't know, dude. I'm getting up there, and it's just not developing for me. I mean, I have an appreciation for it, you know, for the older style guns, but I got no desire to own one. So it's just not
comes
for me.
with age. Oh, well, Sam's what, 2 years older than me, 3 years older than me, something like
37.
that.
How old are you? 34, 35?
You're 4 years older than me? God, you're old as fuck.
Yeah.
Well, apparently it doesn't come with age then. Or Sam's just a late bloomer.
Well, I mean, I certainly am immature, so that could be the issue. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm the mature one. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the only thing we got left to talk about is I got this new Primary Arms red dot, but I think we're going to do a video on this. So I will say that I like it so far, but I'll save this for a video. So not a bad piece for $150 for a decent optic, though. I do not hate it. I do not hate it.
What footprint does it have on it?
RMR.
Okay.
And there's also one. This is the mini one, and then there's also a micro, which has the RMSC or whatever RMSC, like the 43 and the 365 footprint and stuff like that. So I was happy that Primary Arms finally came out with stuff like that, because there's a lot of red dots like this in that category, like price wise. I got it for $150, but I never really felt like spending my money on one but I know Primary Arms makes I'm not saying this is a fantastic red dot, but I'm just saying Primary Arms generally makes decent quality optics for decent money. So I was kind of stoked to find one, because I'm printing all these 3D lowers and stuff, and you know, I hate to throw a expensive Holosun or RMR or something on them. So I was kind of stoked to find one in the $150 range. So I'm pretty happy with it so far. But like I said, I think I'll do a review video on it. So
I think you should do the drop test right now.
I
Go
don't
stand in
think
front
that's
of the
gonna
TV,
happen.
hold it out at shoulder height, and just drop it. Come on, pussy. It's only $150.
I feel like it would survive. I do. I mean, it's
I
very
bet it
similar
wouldn't.
to it's very similar to the Holliston 507Cs as far as the shape and stuff. So I think it would survive. But I'm just gonna wait till Sage Dynamic does it because he has a lot more money than I do. So that's just yeah. Nick and Mike, not gonna happen, guys. Sorry to disappoint, but that is not gonna happen tonight.
It's not like it needs to be an optic that's super, super rugged. You're not
No,
carrying that thing or anything.
no, and that's just the thing. I'm not gonna freaking carry these guns. They're just basically fun guns. But frankly, I've reached a point where if I got a pistol on it, if I got a pistol, I want a freaking red dot on it. You know, that's the same way I am with ARs and stuff. There's got to be a red dot. A red dot. Now I've got to the point on pistols, almost has to be a red dot on them too. So yeah, but I picked up the slide for $200 complete. You know, that's barrel and everything. And then the 150 for the red dot. So you got $350 for a complete freaking, you know, complete freaking basically upper on this. And then I printed this lower, which cost me all like $2 in material, which is pretty awesome.
You
So,
could have had a PSA Jackal for 350.
yeah, but I printed this. Yeah, but
And it probably runs just as well as the Jackal too.
I have, yeah, well, I've only shot like 5 or 6 mags through this so far, but yeah, it's been running like a rape tape. I haven't had any issues with it at all yet. So, I'm gonna shoot the shit out of it until it breaks, and then, yeah, try some other materials.
Okay, well, do we have anything else to talk about? I sure don't.
do not.
I don't have
I do
anything
not.
left on my. Does anybody? I mean, it's the last episode of the year. This is the season finale here. We're not going to be back for just over a month. Will be the next Gears and Beers. So
I'm
should
sure
we
I'll
hang out
go.
for just a minute? Does anyone have anything they want us to touch on in the comments there? I think our broadcast is probably quite a ways behind, so I hate asking questions.
Yeah. Do you carry a spare anklet with that? What does he mean? Did he mistype?
I think
Thanks
so.
Thanks for getting those back plates out so quickly. Yeah, absolutely, man. I appreciate it. We've December comes around, we always get a lot of orders for back plates and stuff. We've been cranking them out lately, so absolutely. Anklet. What is it? What would he mean by that? Not
Oh,
really
like a
positive.
bracelet for your ankle. Like a friend's bracelet that you wear on your ankle, Sam?
Oh no, I just
That one that you have?
I just have that on my wrist all the time. It's not on right now, but yeah, I got beads and stuff, and it says best friends, and my buddy has one too. And like you put them together, and mine says best and his says friends. BFFs. Gene, this is just a PSA dagger slide. It was $200 complete, RMR cut, barrel, everything. So it came with suppressor height sights as well, and I really couldn't pass it up for $200. But I'll tell you what, I don't know what the deal is, but this particular slide was a lot tighter than my Glock slides. So when I first put it on this lower, it would barely go on, and it was like really bad. It took quite a bit. I had to like sand out and stuff. But the weird thing was my Glock, like my factory Glock slide, fit on it absolutely perfect. So I don't know if there was just Cerakote in there, because this is a Cerakote FDE finish. I don't know if there's a bunch of Cerakote in there, if they're just machining the tighter tolerances, or if the Glock knife or the dagger lower is slightly different or what, but I don't know.
I see what Mike's saying now. Saying, do you carry a spare printed lower with that when if you carry it?
Oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah, man. That way it stops working, and you just whip this freaking thing off right now, and whip the other one out of your pocket, slam it on there, and you're good to go. That's the coolest freaking thing about these, man. Like, it costs like $2 or $3 to print them. And they're like, oh, it only lasts 100 rounds. Well, I think they'll last far more than that. But I'm like, so what? I can make them for $2 or $3 a piece. Like, that's freaking cool.
I mean, a lot of people don't print guns just to print guns either. They're like me, probably. They want a gun because they want it to serve a specific purpose, not just be a toy. That's usually the people saying that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. And there are a lot of guys. I know there are a lot of guys in the 3D printing community that actually do use like their printed guns for like home defense and shit. I'm like, I have a factory Glock. Why would I use, my 3D printed one? But like I said, this thing runs like a raped ape. Like, if somebody walked in the shop right now and I needed to plug them, I have no doubt this thing would, if it obviously had ammo in it. But yeah, to me, just the coolness factor of, I've always loved building my own guns, but the coolness factor of adding one more aspect to it is just, I really do. I enjoy that. Gene says, I've noticed tighter tolerances with PSA, and sometimes the chamber is tighter and sub lower grade ammo jams. Yeah, I could definitely see that. I have not got my hands on an actual PSA dagger yet, so I don't know like how they. I've heard really good things about them, no issues or whatever, but it'd be interesting to put the two together with a Glock 19 and see if every piece is actually completely interchangeable. I have no reason
it's a dagger, isn't it? I said jackal, didn't I?
Oh, yeah.
I was wrong. I don't really pay attention to PSA stuff, so I don't really pay attention to much anymore. You don't. You know what I've realized? I'm not a gun guy at all. I don't really give a shit about. I don't really give a shit about guns. I give a shit about what they do.
So you don't like guns?
I mean, yeah, but not the same way that you do. You're like, oh, that's just super neat. I'm like, okay, well, it does the same thing as the ones I have. It just looks a little different.
Yeah, you're right. I guess you've never really been. That was me. Like, I've spent 12 years in the auto body industry, and I don't really give a shit about cars. I just went into auto body because I didn't know what else to do out of college or out of high school. So yeah, I guess that makes sense. Gene says he has 2 daggers. The firing pin is different. No shit. Really? Huh. Interesting. The younger brothers are always a little weird. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. It's called being a utilitarian box.
I don't know if anybody actually knows my real name on here, Mike. Wow, that might be the first time. But no, I guess Sam's probably let it slip a few times.
I'm sure I have. Well, I don't call you Jesse very often, but it feels really weird when I do.
It is pretty jarring whenever anybody calls me Jesse. Like, another one of our cousins messaged me earlier, like right before we started the podcast, said hello, Jesse, and spelled it with an I. I was pretty upset about that.
Yeah,
do not appreciate that.
You. That's like, were they just fucking with you? Because that's like the female version of Jesse.
Oh, I'm aware, but no, they're not just fucking with me.
Who was it?
Cindy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well,
before we leave, while we still got some viewers here, go and join our Discord, guys. I'm going to put a invite link right there in the Facebook. In the Facebook and hell, I'll put it everywhere I can. I'll try and put it in Twitch as well. Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. 3 of them right there. Bam. Click those links
everywhere I can. That's what he said.
Story of my life, which is not many places. Go join our Discord. It's always happening there. We'd like to have some more people and have it a little bit more happening.
Yeah,
and that's all I have to say about Discord.
There's shit going on there every single day, and we got all sorts of channels that all sorts of stuff you want to talk about. When we're always seems to be adding more, so I'm sure. Yeah, it's kind of I enjoy Discord though. I didn't think I was gonna like it, but it's kind of we struggled getting the forum going, and that's really never gained any traction, just because most people aren't forum people. But text or Discord is more like a text group that you only want to, you only have to be in when you want to be. So kind of cool.
What question are you talking about?
Did we miss one, Nick? What did you say?
How do you feel about gun schools? I guess I don't understand the question.
Oh, like Sonoran Desert. Yeah, Nick was talking about going to like a gun school like Sonoran Desert Institute. I like them. I think they can teach you a lot. And it's hard to if you want to break into the gun industry at this stage, it'd probably be your best bet. Like a fellow like me, like I've spent like 6 years, learning how to work on guns, and I'm no gunsmith at all. But it would have been nice to go to Sonoran Desert Institute. I had thought about it before, and I almost wish I had, but I think they're pretty freaking cool. I definitely he said he's got about 6 months in with. Okay. Well, good for you, man. Yeah, that's awesome. I think do you get to like build guns and shit? Like, do they, because it's an online deal, right? Do they send you guns or send you parts that you can actually build out actual guns, or how does that all work? I've always kind of been intrigued by that.
Yeah, we're not exactly the experts on the Sonoran Desert Institute here.
Lots of hands-on works. I mean, I've heard a lot about them. I just didn't know exactly how it all worked. So I know you do get to build your own guns and stuff, but absolutely. I don't know where you live, Nick, but I'm always my gunsmith is kind of been MOA. He's having his own issues in life right now, MIA. I would love to have a freaking actual gunsmith, but lots of hands-on work, finishing and engraving and fixing mistakes. Absolutely. I will tell you, do not mistakes are not a bad thing. Yes, they piss you off and they suck, but I will tell you, oh, you're up in Dune? Okay. I will tell you that mistakes are definitely a good thing, because no matter how good you are, you're going to run across problems, and you're going to run across situations that you have to know how to fix things. And I've seen enough in my years of working on guns at this point, not that I'm all that experienced, but there's been a lot of situations that I know how to fix now, and I know how to, what to do in that situation because I made the mistake previously. So mistakes are definitely a good thing, or it's just kind of the way you look at it. Dune has that massive freaking junkyard in it. I think isn't the junkyard about as big as the whole freaking town is? Or am I thinking of the wrong place? I'm pretty sure Dune is the one I was thinking of. But how long is that? Also, how long is that class at SDI? Is it he said he's 6 months in. Is it a year class or a 2-year class, or how long exactly is it? My final project is going to be building an arrow gun build kit AR-10. Hell yeah, man. I still need to build my own AR-10. I don't have any of my own personal AR-10s. I've built quite a few of them, but I don't have any personal ones. But
okay, well, are we done here?
I think so.
Again, before everyone leaves us, We do have the podcast channel on our Discord, and I recently asked a question in there. Since this is, like I've mentioned several times this episode, this is our season finale, and I want to start trying to schedule guests for next season. And I'd like to know who you guys would like to hear us or like us to have on here. It doesn't matter what company it is, big, small. I'll try and make it happen. I have my ways. I don't really, but I'll say that I do. But I'm interested who you guys would like to hear. You'd like to get to know a little bit better. Content creators, companies, whoever it may be, or if even you want to be on the podcast.
Yeah.
We're open to that too.
One of our best guests to date was when Nick suggested that case company, Kraken Case Company. So Mike says, how far are we from Keanu Reeves? Well,
Sam's hoping people will forget about that.
No, we got a ways to go. We got about, I don't know, like 80 episodes yet, and it's not looking super promising if I'm completely honest, Mike, but I've not given up hope yet. Keanu's a good dude, so maybe we'll just freaking get real damn lucky. Maybe I'll just tweet at him every single day for the next 2 years.
You guys got to start sharing the podcast is what you got to do. And then maybe we can get Keanu. We're relying on you to do the heavy lifting here to get Keanu because we don't have a clue what we're doing.
No, we're just drinking whiskey and having a good time.
That's for sure. Okay. That's going to be the show. Thank you, everyone, for stopping by. Be sure to listen to our entire catalog of podcasts on most major podcast providers and also on our website. If you enjoy what we do and you want to help support the show, check out our Subscribe Star page for exclusive content and other benefits. If you want to get more involved with the community, join our forum on lifeshortlivefree.com and our Discord server, which is much more active. If you aren't aware, Gears and Beers is streamed live every other Wednesday night at 8:30 Central Time on YouTube, Twitch, and our website. We would love for you to come get involved in the conversation. Check out our sponsors, Shyworks at shyworks.com and on Facebook, along with Ballistic Imagery at ballisticimagery.com and also Facebook. And that's the show, folks. Take us away, Sam.
Yeah. Nick says we're going to have Keanu for his premiere of the new John Wick movie. Yeah, because this would be the place he'd come for that. Hell yeah. Guys, thanks for sticking around. We appreciate it. I will be around a little bit during the break. Make sure you guys don't forget about us. But until next time we talk to you, remember, life short, live free. God bless. God bless the United States of America.
Fund the ATF.
Repeal the NFA.